All right, let's take a look at the poll, see where that thing's standing, if it has flipped at all. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. That's what I anticipated. Yeah, there aren't a lot of people in the middle saying it wasn't until Nico left. You've got the majority, barely, saying yes, tons of new starters. It is a rebuilding year. Then you got the other side that has come in Heupel's 5th year? No. We'll be giving you our answer later, but keep clicking, keep clicking.
You should never rebuild at Tennessee. You just reload.
There you go. Yeah, that's now you've campaigned. All right. Tennessee has made 3 big additions since basketball season ended. Jakobi Gillespie, transfer point guard from Maryland. Jalen Carey, transfer power forward from Vanderbilt. And Nate Ament, 5-star wing who signed last week. 4th best player in the country, the number 1, the best recruit Tennessee's ever had. Wow. Now, granted, they didn't have these. Well, yeah, they didn't have these recruiting rankings when Bernard King was coming into town, but still, it's the best they've ever had. The guy can do everything. He's supposed to be a lottery pick. Only issue with him is he's thin. He needs to put on more weight, but you could say that for any 18-year-old in the country, probably. Thoughts on the roster rebuild so far?
I thought they were really smart with the guys that they went out and got, not only the transfer portal, but the guys that they signed. I like what they were saying about Ament, about being like the number 1 guy in their eyes from the high school ranks. I think they got the size and length that they needed too, especially if you compare it to their last game against Houston. Size was a huge component to why that game was so lopsided at the end. So I kind of like where they're starting. I think they've got a couple more spots, but I like where they are now.
Especially the 3 levels you mentioned, John. You had to go out and find a shooting guard, right?
Well, you need a shooting guard.
Okay.
You still need one. Yeah.
And a power forward, that was your biggest deficiency, especially the way the Houston game go. You just weren't, you just didn't have anybody. But with Matt, I would say tap the brakes just a little, right? I mean, he's 6'9", 6'10", 185. They're talking about, in many ways, as a public school top player in Virginia, he may have only tapped like 25% of his potential. That he's a good shooter, but he's not, it's going to be really interesting to see how he develops under Rick Barnes. Because this could be a lottery pick.
Yeah, he's expected to be a lottery pick, yeah. Gentlemen, thoughts so far?
I had Paul Biancardi on, and Paul Biancardi is in the middle of the McDonald's All-American Games, and he's the national director of recruiting for basketball for ESPN. He broke down all these guys, including Nate Ament, and it says his better basketball is years ahead of him. And he said, I know Tennessee fans don't want to hear that,
right?
Because they're basically going to have him for a year.
Yeah.
But he is a lottery type of talent. He's different than what that Tennessee has had in his skill set. He said he's basically a wing, but he will come in to the post some. Definitely mentioned, like you talked about, got to put on the weight and everything. But Gillespie and Carey, like Paige was talking about, perfect fits. He said Gillespie is everything that Rick Barnes wants.
Yes.
And then Carey allows you to throw the ball into the post offensively in something that Rick Barnes noted they couldn't do in that Houston game in the Elite Eight. They couldn't make outside shots. They didn't have an option to get them out of it by throwing it down in the post. So those 2 guys fit the bill perfectly.
From a Gillespie standpoint, and I'll just add to it from what I said 2 weeks ago, there were a lot of people who see the graduation and Zakai Ziegler leaving this program going, well, where's the killer instinct? Well, where's the relationship with the university? Well, who's the guy who's going to be able to facilitate on the floor? I don't care how much money you had to pay allegedly to get Jakobi Gillespie here. He is going to end up being that star that a lot of people, even if it's for a 1-year sample size in Knoxville, where they go, can you imagine if he was here for 4, but you're going to love him for the 12 that he's here, the 12 months that he's here. That's a massive get, but to your point, a 2 is still needed badly.
Darius Adams is a guy that I haven't seen anything this morning. As of yesterday, Darius Adams is still out there. 5-star combo guard, that's perfect. He's a high schooler, so you'd have 2 of these one-and-done type guys. But Tennessee was after him along with Michigan State when he signed with UConn. He just decommitted from UConn a week ago. So Michigan State, Tennessee, Georgetown, Maryland, and Alabama are all in the mix for him right now. Can Tennessee land another one of these top guys? There have been some other guys in the portal they've looked at, but they haven't been able to close the deal on them. So at any rate, that's where you stand right now with Tennessee basketball. You need the shooting guard. Darius Adams is kind of the dream guy at the moment, but he's the dream guy for several schools.
I think getting JP Estrella back, like the couple of guys who are returning, I think that is massive for this team. I think Felix Akpar and the growth that he had just his first season here is incredible. And maybe if Cade Phillips can kind of maybe turn to a mid-range kind of shooter, I think it'll be really exciting.
And you've got several freshmen coming in already that were part of this class ahead of time. We don't have time for you.
All right.
No.
Good.
Give me 10 seconds.
Remember last year when it came down to Kentucky and Tennessee for Chaz Lanier, and there were a lot of Vols fans that were chewing their fingernails? The Adams battle seems like Tennessee-Michigan State all over again. who's going to end up getting the last say.